everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and my hair is already up for the day. I just put it in a messy bun with a little clip, some earrings, just so you guys know that's why there's no like cute little ears today or anything. I just went ahead and got this out of the way because you ever have like one of those days where no matter how like your hair, it could sit down, but like the thought of having hair on my neck, I felt like I was getting strangled, so I was like, nope, I think today's a good day to just like put it up and we're done. So today, you guys, I actually went ahead and I did pick up 2 of the Tarte foundations that were just released. Now, I am actually doing this a little bit different than everybody else. I'm not going to do like a half and half situation because I don't need to look like Scarface for the entire day. I'm going to do one today and then one tomorrow. That's actually backwards. Today I'm going to be doing the matte foundation, and then tomorrow I will be trying the hydration foundation, or hydrating foundation. I'm just trying to rhyme. The hydrating foundation. It's not obviously necessarily for oily skin, but I do want to try it out and just see if it's good, see if I like the formula, anything like that. I'm a big believer that sometimes even oily skin people such as myself, even sometimes we need a little bit of love in the hydrating department, and it's not always bad to have a good option like this just to know if it's good for summer and stuff like that when you feel like your skin is like maybe a little drier, maybe you spend more time outside, whatnot. So I did go ahead, I guess I didn't need whatever I just dropped, but I will be testing out this guy tomorrow. Now for today we have the matte foundation. I picked this up in the shade Fair Neutral, and I didn't get like a PR package for all this stuff, so I know that they released like a paddle and a sponge and a bunch of stuff, and first of all I think that that's dumb. Like, I'm not going to use what you want me to use to apply this foundation. That's a gimmick. You're trying to get me to buy a $30 sponge and a $30 brush, and I'm over here like, no thanks, I got one, I'm all set. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Second of all, I do want to talk about this huge kerfuffle with the shades and all the stuff that's going on. If you don't want to listen to this part, you don't want to hear what I have to say, that's fine. You can fast forward right to me putting it on. That's totally fine. I don't mind at all. We are going to talk though, because I feel like, okay, I've went out of my way to try and like avoid watching videos on this foundation, because anytime I know I'm going to review something, I want it to be as authentically my opinion as is humanly possible. Like, I don't want to be influenced by other people and what they say and all that stuff. So if it sounds like I'm, you know, either mocking someone, making fun of someone, copying someone, anything like that, just know that that's not at all where it comes from. Like, this is just, it's stuff I want to say. So they've released this foundation in 15 shades currently. Now, they released a photo of it, and it's a bunch of shades on an arm, all 15 of them swatched, and it is very incriminating to them. It looks like out of those 15 shades, about 13 of them are really quite white, and then there's 2 that are like a little darker. And they released a press statement on, I believe it was their Instagram yesterday or a couple days ago, that said, you know, we're really sorry, we never meant for it to come across like that. We do respect and love our people of color or darker skin tones. We were just in a hurry to get this out, you know, and we really wanted to get it moving as quick as possible, see what the response was, and basically they apologized. And then said that there are more shades on the way. I think they said they have 10 shades that are due to release here in the next couple of weeks. I don't have an issue, I guess, with that so much, but I've talked about this a lot on my channel pretty openly, and I think what bothers me the most is that I feel like the beauty community as a whole has been stuck in this mindset for so long that there's an ideal shade. And again, you guys have seen me and heard me talk about this a ton on my channel. This is the shade range, right? Super pasty to deeper skin tones, everything in between, all inclusive. And the beauty community, or the beauty anything really, caters to this middle section right in here. These are your money makers. They will give you every skin tone, every undertone, everything you can possibly imagine for these skin tones, right? And if you're on this end of the scale or this end of the scale, they basically tell you like, oh, that's a bummer. And for a long time, I feel like, you know, they've had excuses made. Even I've made excuses for them. Like, oh, well, you know, I mean, financially, it makes sense that they would pander to the audience with the greatest skin tone. So, you know, the people in between, I guess that makes sense. And, you know, I've always kind of made the excuse or the whatnot for them, and I get that. But I really think that this one has went a little bit too far. There are people that are basically boycotting Tarte. They're saying that there's, you know, that they're the worst brand and how could they? And I understand the concept because I'm that person that I have not been able to find my shade. I would say 95% of the foundations I have in this drawer are too dark for me because skin tones and brands don't recognize when you're super fair. They don't have an accountant for it. They tell you, sorry, you know, just find a way to make it lighter. And I've always looked at it from the stance of like, I'm super blessed because 10 years ago, if I would have went to the store, there wouldn't have been anything for my skin tone. So I consider it a blessing that they have stuff that's as light as it is for me. So I do understand what it feels like to try and go and find your shade and you can't find it. That happens to me almost every single time. I just reviewed 2 Dior foundations and I said, man, Dior, y'all don't have nothing for pasty people. And it's a very uninclusive world. Now, what I don't think is fair, and the only thing that I will stand up for Tarte on, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that hate this, I feel like a lot of these beauty influencers that are saying, oh, I'm not going to review this, or how dare they, within the last 6 months, how many brands have you reviewed? Foundations that didn't have all-inclusive lines? Because it's not that uncommon. I actually just watched a video maybe 2 months ago, and I think it was an Elizabeth Arden foundation that was released, and it had like 6 shades. And stuff like that, it's pathetic. I've reviewed the Estee Lauder Maximum cover. You guys know that's one of my favorite foundations. Also, it was released in like 6 or 7 shades. The e.l.f. Acne Fighting, this one right here, the e.l.f. Acne Fighting foundation, that only has like 6 or 7 shades. And I just feel like it isn't fair to pigeonhole one brand for saying, you're an awful, oh my god, when like, I understand it's 2018 and we should be past this, and we should, you're right. But at the same time, like, we're working toward it. They did apologize, and from someone who's been there, all I can say to these brands and these people and like the people that are in charge of this, don't release a swatch of an arm with all one shade. Because how would I feel if that was like, say 13, you know, deeper skin tones and then like 2 for pasty people? I'd be like, oh, great. So clearly they don't care about me, my demographic, or they haven't gotten around to it. I'm an afterthought. That's a huge thing that's been going around as well. And I just feel like we are at a place in society where we need to decide which direction this goes. Yes, your money is your vote, and if you're not comfortable with it, then don't buy it. Absolutely. I would never, I tell you guys this all the time on my channel too, I don't ever encourage you to buy something that you don't support either the brand or, well, I prefer cruelty-free and they're not cruelty-free, or I prefer, you know, anything like that. That's totally fine. You guys, your money is your vote. You get to decide who you support and what you support and all of that, and I'm all for that. As far as me, I feel like as a review channel, it is mainly my objective to review the product. And I've talked about this before, whether it be like Kat Von D, super controversial, Jeffree Star can be super controversial, all these other brands that I review, the Kardashians, I mean, all that kind of stuff. You know, everyone has their own opinion on the people that own it and how they are and their antics or whatever. And to some extent, as a reviewer, it is my job and my chosen, you know, platform to sit here and tell you guys what I think of the product. Now, I also think it's appropriate that given I have almost, well, actually, I think now I have over 1,700 subscribers, so I'm approaching 2,000. Now, is that a lot? No. Like, I don't have a huge following. I think that I'm very happy with the following I have, and I think it's my job that with the platform I'm given, that I stand up for my subscribers. My subscribers might be predominantly Caucasian. They might be predominantly deeper skin toned. I have no idea, because I don't look at people and see color. I don't look at my demographic and go, oh, I need to pander to this audience. That's not the kind of person I am. I don't care what color, nationality, religion, or whatever any of my subscribers are. But I do know that the odds are in my favor that I have some that are of a deeper skin tone, and probably deeper than myself. So I think it's righteous to stand up for my subscribers in saying that, you know, I honestly am not okay with that shade range. I think that it's wrong that they would come out with it. And I think it's even more wrong that they would be proud of it. I think that that's what bothers me the most. That they would be very excited and happy, and that they thought the world would be excited and happy to see a swatch of an arm with 15 shades on it that are all white. I do think that people got a little bit like about it, like they do. They tend to just like freak out, as opposed to really sitting down and having a thoughtful discussion about it. I don't have anything wrong with a thoughtful discussion, but I don't think there's anything ever to be gained from just freaking the hell out. It's just not me. I think it's a discussion that needs to be had as someone that is, their color is often excluded because I'm super fair. And I think that super fair is excluded a lot, just like the deeper skin tones are excluded. Probably a little bit less because I think deeper skin tones have been neglected for a lot longer. But nonetheless, they're both still neglected parts of the spectrum that need to be respected because we have our money and we have our face and we have our skin, and there's nothing wrong with being proud of the color you are or anything about you. There's nothing ever wrong with that. So I just want you guys to know from where I sit, I don't support their decision to be proud of their 15 shades because I don't think that shade range was something to be proud of. It does not shake my view or opinion of Tarte the brand, because I feel like that wouldn't be right. Now, if they came right out and said, well, we didn't release, you know, X amount of shades because we don't care, that's one thing. They did come out, they did apologize. It was a little late, absolutely, but they did apologize. And as such, I'm the type of believer that, you know what, you screwed up once, all right? Like, you screwed up, so just don't do it again. Like, you get another shot with someone like me. But don't be stupid. Don't make this mistake again. This was a PR nightmare, and it's a nightmare for the rest of the world to feel like they are not equally represented in one of the largest cosmetic companies that there are. Now, do I thoroughly believe that Tarte intended to have more shades and that they intended for this to be a much more inclusive line? Yes, I do believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly because their shape tapes, they continued releasing tones and colors and undertones, and that's awesome. I do feel like they should have never agreed to a premature release on this. And I also want you guys to know that none of what I just said is going to taint my opinion, my review, or my thoughts on this foundation. I'm going to review it the same way I would any other foundation, give it the same fair shake, everything. So, just so you guys know, that's where I stand. You can go ahead and sound off in the comment section if you think that I'm, you know, a piece of shit and you don't like my opinion, that's fine. It's not for everybody. But just so you guys know, I am choosing to, just like with all brands, I could name, you know, 100 brands. Giorgio Armani, MAC, even e.l.f. Like, there are so many brands in here. Dior. What's some more? Let's just keep going here. I mean, literally almost every single one. Estee Lauder. All the Estee Lauders I have are too dark. Like, it's something where I've chosen to forgive all of those brands for being naive toward my part of the spectrum and toward my color. And I choose to forgive them, and I choose to try and just be inclusive and include myself in their products even when they might forget about me. With that being said, sorry about that. If you didn't like that, I really hope that you skipped through it because boy was it long. Now, this foundation, let's just talk, guys. Let's talk some more because this wasn't long enough. This is the Tarte Shape Tape Foundation. Again, today I am using the matte. This is $39. I got mine from the Tarte website. I don't believe it is released at Ulta yet. You get 1.01 fluid ounces. And again, I picked this up in the shade Fair Neutral. Again, their shade names, by the way, were atrocious. They were all like fair, light, and then like dark. Like, they didn't have any, their shade names were ridiculous. Now, another thing we're going to discuss real quick is because I did not get a PR package, I actually can explain to you the differences about like the colors and the selection and things like that because I had to purchase these myself. A lot of bigger influencers got a PR package that basically had like, here are the 3 shades we think would match you for matte, and here are the 3 shades we think would match you for the hydrating. Now, the difference is that they did not have shades that coincided on their website. So, like, there wasn't a fair neutral matte and a fair neutral hydrating, and then a this matte and then a this hydrating. They were extremely confusing with that. For example, for this one, like I said, I picked up the shade Fair Neutral, but then for hydrating, the lightest they had was Porcelain. So I had to pick up a totally different shade name. So I don't know why they would choose to do that. To me, that makes no sense. I would have preferred there be, you know, shade 1 matte, shade 1 hydrating, shade 2 matte, shade 2 hydrating. That way you know you're getting the same color or the same whatever, just in the other formula. That just is what makes sense to me. I'm sure they have a reason for doing it the way that they did, but again, just me. Now, In the MAC eye, it looks like this. It is notated with this purple stripe right here. The hydrating foundation, actually here, how about we take this one out of the package so we can actually talk about both. The hydrating one has this blue like water-esque stripe, and then of course the little water droplet on the front, and then the matte is all purple. Other than that, they are exactly the same. They weigh the same. They have a beautiful frosted glass component. They feel very nice and luxurious, which I really, really love. I will go ahead and swatch both for you just so you can kind of compare them. I will do this in both videos, you know, just in case. So this right here, that's actually, yeah, that's an interesting undertone they've got there. Fair Neutral, and it's got like a pink undertone. Okay, but that is the shade Fair Neutral in matte. And then in the shade Porcelain, which again is the hydrating version, you get, wow, that's a very thick whipped kind of feeling. So that is the shade Porcelain. So this one actually has a very cool undertone as opposed to the neutral undertone, which has more of a pink tone to it. So just so you can see them kind of compared up close and personal, again, Fair Neutral in the matte, and then Porcelain, which was the lightest shade in the hydrating version. I think it was the, I don't know, I think it was the lightest shade. Again, I don't get a PR package, so I don't know this kind of stuff. To prep my skin, I'm just going to go in with my Peter Thomas Roth Skin to Die For. I love this primer, you guys know it. 2017 favorites. It's been one that I've used forever now. I really, really enjoy it. I'm just going to take that and I kind of really press it in, especially in my more porous areas, and then I just kind of work it in the leftover product in the other areas. I just kind of do one of these. Give myself like an insta facelift. And then just one of my favorite steps is I like to take like a setting spray. And I just love to do that. It just makes my skin feel so like, it gives me a little bit of something, something. I love it. Now, I love this. I love the doe foot applicator. I think that it looks really cool. I think that I love the homage to this Tarte Shape Tape. I am curious as to how it's going to work with foundation and applying foundation. What the hell is that? Oh. A little chunk of primer was like hanging out right there. That's cute. So again, first side, we're going to go in with the Beauty Blender, and we're going to see how this works out. Let's just do it. I'm so excited. Okay, here we go. I have no idea what kind of coverage to expect from this, so we shall see. I normally don't put my hair up when I do a foundation review, because this pink undertone is going to be the death of me. Oh, man. Alright, so we're going to start right there, and we're just going to start by kind of bopping her in. And seeing what we get. A lot of times matte foundations do set down a little bit quicker, and they can get harder to manipulate or become harder, so I want to make sure that I really I get to working this guy in. Wow, that is super matte. Holy shnikes. I'm not living for this undertone. That is the other thing that I really did read quite a bit about this foundation. Like, it's one of those things where I kept trying to avoid it, but like, you can't avoid something when it's this hot of a release and everyone's blowing up about it, was the undertones are really, really weird. And I thought the same thing, even when I was just on their website trying to pick out a foundation. Their undertones are so intense. Like, if you go on there and you look at their little chart and stuff, like, it's so weird to me the way that they did this. Like, super yellow undertones, and then super pink undertones, and then, like, this one's supposed to be neutral. Oh, but it still had pink undertones. Like, that's why I chose this one, because I thought for sure it would have less of a pink undertone, but it definitely has some pretty, it's still pretty pink. Now, with that being said, all of that went into the skin very nice. That was only one layer, and I would say it's about medium, hopefully buildable to medium coverage. So let's go ahead and let's kind of lay down a little bit more and see if we can, you know, build that up a little bit. My only concern is at this point, if there's any developing of this foundation or oxidizing on my face, the pink undertones in this are going to be really, really fast. So that could get a little awkward. But we're going to hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, I'm not really getting any additional coverage from it at this point. It might cover up a little bit better with a brush, but so far I'm thinking it's almost buildable to medium coverage. A lot of my redness isn't covered yet, but hey, that happens. So let's go ahead. We're going to do the other side with a brush. So let's go ahead and slap some of this on. I'm just going to go in with my flat top. This is the F27 from Carity. I've just been playing with this guy a little bit lately, and we're just going to kind of buff it in and see how we like it with a flat top brush. Okay, so I think it stipples on very nicely with a brush. I do think you get a little bit nicer, a little bit better coverage, but I also feel like, especially over my more like raised and textured and acne areas, I think that it needs a little bit help being smoothed out. So if it were me, I'm actually gonna go in, I'm gonna build those areas up a little bit more, stipple them down with a brush, and then I'm gonna go over them with a beauty blender just to kind of make sure that they're, you know, set down a little nicer, because the finish on the beauty blender side is absolutely stunning, even on my textured skin. So I'm gonna go ahead and stipple these over top, again, just to make sure that we have the coverage, and then smooth over top with that beauty blender, honey. Okay, so I was able to get it built up pretty okay. You know, I think so far my biggest, like, with this is that what I was really hoping this foundation release would be, I just wanted it to be like a big version of the Shape Tape. Like, I wanted the same coverage, the same feeling, the same everything. I just really wanted you to take this. Remember, okay, did you ever see the, what was it, Good Burger? That movie with the two guys, and it was Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger, can I take your order? And they were going out of business by the people across the street, and they had this thing where they put a normal burger in, and as they put the normal burger in, it went in and it got zapped, and then it came out like a Mondo burger. They got, yes, it was actually called Mondo Burger, and they got outdone by these people. I was really hoping that they would just take this Tarte Shape Tape, put it on that conveyor, and boom, make a Mondo Shape Tape. That's all I was really after. Now, we're gonna go in with the shade Fair for my under eyes. I have no idea if this color is gonna be working or not. Okay, I think I can work with that. It's gonna look, this looks really yellow, which is interesting because it doesn't normally look that yellow. I don't think it looks yellow on camera, but because of the pink undertones in the foundation, this is coming off a little bit more yellow than usual, but that's alright. We can work with this, hopefully. I just want to see how these go together, and if my face likes them together. You never know. Alright, so far, I originally thought that it looked pretty good over like this part of my face. I do see a little bit of oxidizing happening where it is turning a little bit more pink. You can see it a lot more now with the contrast of the Shape Tape in this area and then just the foundation right here. What I'm not loving is what it's doing to the pores on my nose, like especially on the side right there. It is like not working for those. Like they're literally just like hanging open, like not looking super attractive. Other than that, it does feel pretty heavy on the skin, pretty cakey feeling. That doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. It can be okay, it can wear okay and still feel like that. I've had that happen before. Just as far as the pore emphasis, it's not doing a lot, or it's not really helping me in that area. But I think overall, like in this area, the cheek region and the bad cheek region, it's looking pretty good. My chin looks a little caked out, I'm not gonna lie, like, especially in this area, it does seem like, for some reason, the Shape Tape doesn't want to play well with the foundation. Okay, in any event, I am going to go off camera, I'm gonna do the rest of my face, I'll come back on, we're gonna keep talking about it. Wow, that's really starting to turn colors. Can you see that on camera? Alright, I will be right back. Alright, you guys, I went ahead and I have finished up my face. On the lids, I just went in with the Marc Jacobs, this is their little editorial palette here. You know, I kind of used most of these, you can probably tell. I had a little bit of fun with this guy today, I'm not gonna lie. I actually had only gotten to use it like one time, and I only got to use like 2 colors out of it, so I was really excited. This is the one palette from this launch that they did that I wanted so bad, and it sold out ridiculously fast. Every single time I went to buy it, it was never available. So I finally got my hands on it, and I'm very happy. As far as, oh, what's on my lips? That is this guy right here. It is the shade Erin from the Gigi Hadid and Maybelline collection. You guys know I stayed away from this collection for the most part. I just felt like it was overhyped and overexpensive. But this shade I really, really wanted. And I thought, since how we were going with this more like editorial vibe, I thought a dark purple might look kind of, you know, cool, kind of edgy, kind of grunge. I like that. I don't know. I just thought it'd be something fun to kind of play around with. So as far as everything else, again, you guys know I'm putting together one of those videos where I run through products real quick and kind of talk about them. So I'm not going to talk about what's on my face too much because of that, but let's go ahead and kind of talk for a second more about this foundation. I apologize, by the way, most of my foundation videos are already shorter than this one is at this point. So, and that's without my end of the day check-in. But so far, I actually feel like it's smoothed in very nice. It did continue to oxidize, and I had to like do some blending and buffing down the neck. But as far as like, you know, bronzer, blush, highlight, everything did layer on very nicely, and it actually dispersed really well too. I mean, you can see it looks very nice and like airbrushed through here. It just looks very good. The issue with my pores on my nose did kind of subside for the most part. Now, lately I've noticed that when my pores get really aggressive or things don't fill them in and they start to look really bad, one of my like ways to kind of combat that, just if you're curious or if you deal with it too, I go in with just my damp beauty blender and a thin layer of like the Maybelline, this is the Fit Me, yeah, the Fit Me finishing powder that they have, and I put a thin layer of that under my eyes, everywhere I put concealer, and then over top of my nose, basically this whole area right here, and then I put a little bit over my cheeks, my chin, like a very, very fine dusting. I don't want it to sound like I just cake it on there, because I don't. It's a very thin layer, but what I've noticed is that this powder is so finely milled that it really does such a good job at going in, filling in, and just smoothing out the surface, so that when I do end up spraying my setting spray, everything just melds beautifully. Now over top of that, because I'm so oily, I do have to go in with a layer of Airspun as well, and the Airspun, this stuff right here, this is the lid, and there's loose powder in there, but this guy right here, and I do go in over like my more oily areas and pat that on as well, just for that extra layer of oil resistance. And my face ends up needing it every single day. So this is a system that I've pretty finely honed, and you know, I went through this process quite a few times, and it's what my face really likes. A lot of people say, you put on too much powder, but you really do have to know your skin and know what your skin is looking for. So I kind of went this route because A, I was having an issue with pores, and B, it's what I normally do, so I try to stick with the realm of what I normally do. The finish is definitely staying very nice and very matte, like holy cow matte. At first it was a little overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. Like I had a huge issue with it at first. I thought it looked very cakey and very overdone, especially on the chin and the upper lip. That is subsiding for the most part. It seems like when I sprayed my setting spray, I just went in with my Skindinavia. This is the oil controlling. I know for some reason, by the way, a ton of influencers are talking about this, and they're getting paid to talk about it on Snapchat or Instagram, or you know, even do a video with it, whatever. That's fine. You can do you and do your videos, and that's great. But if you guys want like an unpaid, unpromoted, honest opinion, this actually is a really good setting spray. It says that it holds it for up to 16 hours. I don't notice that so much because I don't ever use a setting spray for that long because I'm a real human being. But as far as it being a setting spray, it is really good. The quality is insane. So if you're looking for an alternative to Urban Decay or just a good one in general, this is a really good one. And again, I use the oil controlling and I like it a lot. So just if you're curious, and I like to run through that because I'm obviously not paid to talk about it, but it's really good. So yeah, so far you guys, the skin actually looks really good. It's beautiful. It's matte. My shadow is looking poppin'. Overall, this is actually a look that if I'm being completely honest, I'm actually a little uncomfortable to have my hair up with this much going on my face. Normally I like to have my hair down to frame it, but like, you know, at some point you just kind of have to like let your canvas be your canvas and speak for itself. So I'm gonna go, I will do my day, I'm gonna stop back on, but you guys, like, I'm actually really impressed. Actually, here, can I get you maybe a little closer? You can see, like, it looks so beautiful through here. It actually does look a lot nicer. Shh, I'm very busy. It looks a lot nicer than I thought it would, like my highlight and my blush and everything. It really just looks so seamless, and I really hope that that's picking up on camera because in real life, I'm actually very shocked at how good this looks. Again, considering it looked so cakey at first, I didn't think I'd like it this much. So we shall see. I'll step back on at the end of the day and we will do some final thoughts on this ridiculously long video. So hang tight. Alright you guys, I come to you at the end of a very long and a thoroughly used face. So you guys, I have been watching my makeup pretty closely all day today, and I have to be honest, this has been on my face for over 12 hours. I had a long day, I had a bunch of errands to do, and you guys, I'm actually really impressed with this foundation. Like, as much as I wanted to, this is gonna sound so bad, as much as I was like, it's gonna fail, their shade range, and you know, like that hate starts to like bubble up again. I actually think it held up really, really nicely for a 12-hour wear test. My nose is just now getting oily enough to the point where like it's kind of wet and like I would feel like I need to blot right now. All of this, like my cheeks look so good still. The pores through here still look so nice. The only place, during the close-up, you're gonna be like, Paige, you're missing some foundation. I might have been trying to like shove a foot-long sub like down my gullet while I was like driving, and it might have like hit right here and it might have like scraped off. We're just not gonna talk about it. It was a thing, it happened, we're moving on. So hold on just a second, let's kind of do an up close and personal. Let's get close, let's do this. And then, you know, let's wrap this bad boy up. So I definitely think that it's pretty easy on camera to see how good all of this looks. It looks pretty porcelain, especially for like, I have super textured skin. So this looks so good through here. You can definitely see the oil on my nose kind of starting to pop through a little bit. But even with that, like this whole area still looks really nice and smooth. And the Hulk line up here, you can definitely see he got pretty hungry. And then the sides on the side of my mouth, the lines on the side of my mouth. Trying to find words. The struggle is so real. So I think you guys, to round it out, I do really love this foundation. I think that it wore so well. I think the matte finish was actually really, really good. It stayed so nice and matte. Throughout the day, it kind of softened up a little to a soft matte as opposed to a more rigid matte, which was really nice. And again, my natural oils did eventually kind of come through, and even as they worked their way out throughout the day, this foundation didn't break up. It didn't get funny or like gunky or cakey. And when I put it on this morning, it looked and felt kind of heavy. So I was really concerned there for a while, but it actually worked out really, really nicely. I will definitely try this again. Pending how the hydrating one goes, I would actually be curious maybe to mix the two together. Again, I don't know what the undertone of that one's gonna be, so Alright you guys, that's it for this video. Don't forget to check the description box for all my social media handles, because I know you love me, and we will talk to you guys all later. Bye. Tarte foundation. What the hell were you thinking?